Greetings and welcome to the course on Curriculum and Course Design. We are now looking at Week 1, Unit 4 on NEP 2020 first part. In the earlier unit, we understood the evolution of engineering education. Now, we will try to understand some features and requirements of NEP 2020. As NEP 2020 is what do you call National Education Policy of 2020. It has been under discussion for several years now, and there is also some controversies because some non-BJP governments, states do not want to completely follow the NEP 2020 provisions. But here we will not get into those controversies. Even if they exist, they are mostly at the level of school education. NEP 2020 is a document that looks at education right from elementary level to higher education and even continuing education programs. So let us look at NEP 2020, what its vision is. We strongly suggest that it is better to take a look at the core document and read through. Though I am quoting directly from the document, that is the reason why there will be a lot of write-up where we are reproducing what the NEP 2020 document says. Okay, what is its vision? First, let us look at that. The National Education Policy envisions an education system rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India, that is Bharat, sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. As you can see, it is a tall order. Yes, at least our goal or vision should be very high, and we work towards that. Obviously, that is not going to happen in one or two small steps. And the policy envisages that the curriculum and pedagogy of our institutions must develop among the students a deep sense of respect towards fundamental duties and constitutional values, bonding with one's country and a conscious awareness of one's roles and responsibilities in a changing world. That it means it is trying to define what kind of person they want to educate. Okay, I highlighted in red color what exactly the important aspects of this. The vision of the policy is to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought but also in spirit, intellect and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. Okay, to understand all this, to incorporate into education programs is a tall order, but at least this is the goal we want to aim at. Now, NEP 2020 is a document which has 4 parts. First part is school education, section 1 to 8. It is divided into several sections. Then part 2 consists of higher education, 9 to 19, with which we are mainly concerned with. Part 3, other key areas of focus, which includes, that is section 20 to 24, professional education or engineering education comes under this category, adult education and lifelong learning, promotion of Indian languages, arts, culture, technology use and integration online and digital education, ensuring equitable use of technology. So there are several areas of focus in 2020, section 20 to 24. Part 4 addresses how to make it happen. That is section 25 to 27, strengthening the Central Advisory Board of Education, financing affordable and quality education for all, implementation. Making it happen is the most tough part, because we have a long tradition in doing things in one particular way. To move from there to something like this is going to take a lot of effort from all people, because any change that you make, the concerned persons, faculty, students, or staff, management, everybody feels uncomfortable when you try to change something from what is already being practiced. And that is where all of us will have to work together to make these things happen. Now, the NEP 2020 document itself identifies the major problems currently faced by higher education in India. And it is listed in section 9.2. First, a severely fragmented higher educational ecosystem. Because in India, higher education is not uniform. First of all, only universities are deemed to be universities can award degrees. Colleges cannot award degrees. So all education, we have a very complex relationship among the institutions. Like large number of colleges are affiliated to a single university. When they're affiliated, sometimes with certain level of autonomy, sometimes no autonomy at all. This creates large number of issues. And people seem to be, because this has been happening for several decades now, people are used to this system and may be very reluctant to change from here. What does this mean? That is, a student is likely to operate in different kinds of environments, like a university environment or a autonomous institution affiliated to a university, or non-autonomous institutions affiliated to a university. We'll come back to the problems that are associated with that. So this is particularly severely fragmented higher education system. And further, some part of the education system is under the control of the state. Some institutions are directly under the control of central government. Different rules apply, different funding systems are operative, and so on and on. If you compare, let us say, what happens in India and let us say a country like the United States, there the simple thing is every college is autonomous. Every college can award degrees. If they have 5,000 institutions, all 5,000 institutions can award degrees. Some are only known as colleges, some are universities. But even then, a college can also award degrees. In India, only right now, legally, only university or deemed to be universities can award degrees. Maybe something like this will evolve into a more friendly educational ecosystem. Then less emphasis on the development of cognitive skills and learning outcomes. This is a kind of though everybody recognizes this, but this is the result of what you have a large number of colleges being affiliated to a single university. Mind you, when we are talking about these issues, they are not necessarily about engineering colleges. It is about degree colleges. And if you take degree colleges in India, you have something like 45,000 colleges across the country in various kind of environments. And another feature of this, a rigid separation of disciplines with early specialization and streaming of students into narrow areas of study, which is in today's context is totally undesirable. Let's say if you have BSc Physics, then earlier programs were completely in the area of physics and nothing else. Slowly, in the recent years, they're offering some kind of associated courses where the students, besides physics, can also do courses in mathematics or chemistry or something like that. But still, many programs somehow look like they want every student to specialize narrowly in one particular discipline. BSc Physics means physics, BSc Mathematics means mathematics. And this is not a desirable situation at all if you compare with international practices. Limited access, particularly in socio-economically disadvantaged areas with few HEAs that teach in local languages. In India, we have this additional issue, though higher education generally takes place in English, but English is not our mother tongue. And people obviously feel more comfortable in local languages. But then how to achieve this? Because each state cannot teach everything in their local languages. In that case, employment becomes an issue. So how do we address this issue of local language and English and still make facility for people to move around the country is a challenge right now. And another major problem of currently faced by higher education is limited teacher and institutional autonomy. For example, if a college is affiliated to in non-autonomous way to a university, puts down all the rules. The autonomy that you have at the college level or at teacher level is very limited. And this is not particularly good for either students or for the faculty. And further issues, inadequate mechanisms for merit-based career management and progression of faculty and institutional leaders. This is always a problem in the sense we are comfortable only people who has a maximum service getting promoted to the next position. Merit-based career management kind of thing exists only in a few institutions across the country. So there are any number of administrative issues when you try to move from the current practices to merit-based career management. And next one, lesser emphasis on research at most universities and colleges, and lack of competitive peer-reviewed research funding across disciplines. This everybody is familiar with. That is, most of the colleges take any degree awarding college or an engineering college. The whole institution is designed and run in a way the research doesn't find much place for that. Or not only in terms of funding, but in terms of goals and also in terms of time available for students and faculty. So by definition itself, majority of the colleges have hardly any emphasis on research at higher education institutions. And then obviously there is not much of peer-reviewed research funding across disciplines. Getting funding for any research project in a college is a very, very arduous task. Then you have suboptimal governance and leadership of HEIs. Because we are, for anything and everything we have in the name of so-called transparency, there is hardly any governance that is possible. That is, try to experiment take few interesting steps to make things happen, that is not that will not really happen in most of the institutions. Then you have an ineffective regulatory system. While we put many rules on piece of paper, when we want to regulate anything, people who go for inspecting, they are not effective in terms of really identifying issues and either rewarding or punishing. So you have very ineffective regulatory system, though the NEP 2020 tries to offer a solution to that, but we don't know when it will actually come into operation. And then we have large affiliating universities resulting in low standards of undergraduate education. This has been the bane of our Indian education for now several decades, because you can consider that is British legacy. Britishers before 1947, they had no confidence in Indians managing anything, so they made it into a kind of a centrally controlled system. Now what happens while the knowledge is changing very fast in its complexity or the kind of things that are needed, we still stick to the same system in the name of transparency. The undergraduate education especially, if you are centralizing that, what happens is, let's say a few hundred colleges that are affiliated to one university, they will have for the same program, they have fixed number of courses. All colleges will have to offer the same set of courses with the same syllabus, and the examination, the testing is conducted centrally. Okay, and then there also the students' performance is also evaluated centrally, and the university itself will declare the results. This has been the practice, and in this process, what happens is the processes all get adjusted what is convenient administratively from a central place. Centralization becomes the focus rather than learning. And this has been unfortunately, the way things happen, because all subjects are not the same type. Same type of examination cannot be conducted for every course in the same way. But still, the rules say all exams will have to be conducted in the same manner. Some 3-hour written test, and the question paper will be designed by the boards of studies of the university. And when you have, if a student tries to write his own answer, he will be punished, because an evaluation of student performance with each student writing his own answer becomes a problematic, because it takes a lot more time. And so these questions will be standard and answers also will have to be standard. In such a process, hardly good learning can take place. So there are endless number of issues with centralization of our universities affiliating large number of colleges. Okay, all these problems are identified by the NEP. It is not that the people do not know, but the thing is, how do we implement, how do we take care of things is the issue. So first thing is, in summary, key changes envisioned by NEP 2020. Moving towards higher educational system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities and colleges with at least one in or near every district, and with more HEIs across India that offer medium of instruction or programs in local or Indian languages. Okay, moving towards higher educational system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities and colleges, because a college may have only 3-4 departments operating. So you can't have any kind of multidisciplinary activity. So their movement, their proposal is that is a college, call it whatever you want, college or a university must have something like minimum 4,000 students spread over multiple disciplines. It is not that every university or every college should have all the disciplines, but distributed over multiple disciplines. And such an institute must be accessible in every district. That is what the key change that they are envisioning. And here what happens is, though it is easier said than done, they said if a college, let us say, has only 1500 students and it is right in the heart of a city or a town, they cannot physically expand. So what uh, what is suggested is, this was already a few years ago, but it hasn't been implemented. The local colleges, 5 or 6 of them, can form a cluster, and between those 5 or 6 colleges you can have some kind of a commonality with students doing courses from one college or the other, working out something like that. While it is suggested and even proposed in some states in India, it has never moved in that direction, because some college can be government college, some college can be minority institution or a private college. Then each one has different rules. When they were trying to put it all together, no effective solution emerges. So another change they want to envision is moving towards a more multidisciplinary undergraduate education, and that is possible, of course, with the right distribution of faculty, and the other one is right design of curriculum. It is possible to do so. And moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy. For example, in India, we have several institutions which have autonomy both at faculty level or at the institutional level. These are universities, IITs, sometimes NITs, now a few IIITs. They're all there. It is not that we don't know how to manage them. But can that be extended to all institutions? Now, the next one is revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support for enhanced student experiences. See, our education was all based on, not on what do you call, student experiences, because the experience will have to be the same. Everyone should be able to, at the end of the year, write a 3-hour examination, that too on a piece of paper, and that's all. Nothing else is easily tested. So it requires a lot of revamping of the curriculum and all the things associated with that: pedagogy, assessment, and student support. These are some of the things that we'll explore when we try to design our curriculum as well as courses. Then the key change envisioned further in NEP 2020, reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership positions through merit appointed and career progression based on teaching, research, and service. In India, we have, for example, IITs and a few institutions where career progression is based on certain merit. But again, unfortunately, in India, what happens? Teaching is in those institutions, while teaching takes place, it is not given any value. Only the research is given value. Even the service is not given any value. That is one of the issues of all higher education institutions, not only in India, but also elsewhere. Because we seem to be believing in only high quality research publications. Further changes that are being proposed by NEP 2020: establishment of a national research foundation to fund outstanding peer-reviewed research and to actively seed research in universities and colleges. Right now, The funding for research happens under several categories. Each department of the government has separate funding for their type of activities. There is not a single source like in ESA you have NSF, National Science Foundation. Here they want to call it National Research Foundation. But people generally have several other foundations for different areas, for agriculture, for health. Different foundations do exist. We do not know exactly how this National Research Foundation is going to take shape in India in the near future. And further, our higher education institutions are governed by some kind of government specified boards. They may have politicians, they may have other individuals, but not necessarily properly qualified board members. So, one of the things they want to encourage governance of HEIs by high qualified independent boards having academic and administrative autonomy. So, if you have ministers and secretaries as the board chairman, obviously there will be hardly any autonomy left. And then further, light but tight regulation by a single regulator of higher education. This is presently under consideration right now. For example, for engineering education, our National Board of Accreditation is the regulator of higher education would mean under what conditions a certain program can be offered. For engineering, it is AICTE. Okay. Whereas for other disciplines, other degrees, it is UGC. That means a college will have to fulfill certain conditions before they are permitted to offer the programs. So in India, what they are trying to do now is try to create one regulator for higher education. That means UGC or maybe some special disciplines like medicine, agriculture. We do not know how many of them are going to be grouped together under one single regulator. Then another change they want to bring about is increased access, equity and inclusion through a range of measures, including greater opportunities for outstanding public education, scholarships by private philanthropic universities for disadvantaged and underprivileged students, online education, open distance learning, and all infrastructure and learning materials accessible and available to learners with disabilities. They do take a lot of initiatives for this. People with disabilities are also are to be made as part of higher education. Then the institutions, first of all, will have to create required physical infrastructure for people with disabilities to move around and attend the classes, write the exams and so on. But these things are slowly happening. But this is one of the major change that NEP 2020 wants to bring about. Now we'll try to get into a little more detail. Again, we are looking at section 9.1. Here, when I say higher education, it means both professional as well as degree level of education. It is officially recognized higher education plays an extremely important role in promoting human as well as societal well-being and in developing India as envisioned in its constitution, a democratic, just, socially conscious, cultured and humane nation upholding liberty, equality, fraternity and justice for all. It's a long list. It is not easy to achieve. Even in any so-called very good countries, like some in Europe, like Sweden and Norway, Even there, it will be very difficult to attain all this. But that is the goal. Higher education significantly contributes towards sustainable livelihoods and economic development of the nation. It is the most important one in today's context of technology growth. Higher education becomes very important because those technologies can be made use of, operated on only by well qualified people, and that requires higher education. As India moves towards becoming a knowledge economy and society, more and more young Indians are likely to aspire for higher education. Because if you simply do up to 12th, you cannot aspire for certain types of jobs. Because every type of job these days requires very specialist knowledge, and that can only be offered at higher education. So the motivation comes from the individuals, because I want to get a good placement with right kind of salaries and so on. Then individuals are motivated to go for higher education. Now, next 9.1.1, given the 21st century requirements, quality higher education must aim to develop good, thoughtful, well-rounded and creative individuals. Nicely stated. It must enable an individual to study one or more specialized areas. It must enable an individual to study one or more specialized areas of interest at a deep level and then develop character, ethical and constitutional values, intellectual curiosity, scientific temper, creativity, spirit of service, and 21st century capabilities across a range of disciplines, including sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, languages, as well as professional, technical, and vocational subjects. So that is self-explanatory, as you can see, that all the disciplines will have to be encouraged. And as you know, in the last 10 years, there are placement opportunities practically in all the disciplines, arts, humanities, languages, and so on. A quality higher education must enable personal accomplishment and enlightenment, constructive public engagement, and productive contribution to the society. It must prepare students for more meaningful and satisfying lives and work roles and enable economic independence. These are all nice statements, but the people have designed curricula to meet all these requirements, and courses have been designed, practiced, but it is a question of a group of individuals connected with an institution wanting to implement that. At 9.1.2 section, for the purpose of developing holistic individuals, it is essential that an identified set of skills and values will be incorporated at each stage of learning from preschool to higher education. So, the central government wants to plan things right from preschool to higher education. Maybe before we proceed, one thing we should remember: learning takes place in the brain, right? Nowhere else. And we hardly know anything, hardly we know much about how the brain functions, how it is partitioned, what kind of activity takes place. Well, we understand some, but we don't have complete knowledge about that. We don't even know whether we know 10% or 20% or 30% or more. We do not know that. And then the number of stakeholders in education are too many, right from parents, students, managements, governments. There are so many stakeholders for that. And all of us are operating actually with limited knowledge of how people learn. And in all that, it is very difficult to justify one particular method of doing things. And also the context in which a learning takes place, the physical environment, the climatic conditions, the economic status of the students who come to the school, they all differ very, very wildly. To that extent, nobody can come with, let us say, so and so school is or college is doing very well. Let me copy that procedure in my institution. It doesn't necessarily work. So everyone will have to, what you have to recognize is the number of factors that influence the quality of learning of a student is very, very large. So unless the faculty of a particular institution keep interacting with one another, try to understand their own context, their own students, their own limitations, you cannot design a good program, not by copying something else. Unfortunately, in India, what happens whenever you design a curriculum is they look at what IITs are doing and try to directly take that syllabus in and make a course here. It it is it can become counterproductive also. Okay, so with that caution, let us go to 9.1.3. At the societal level, higher education must enable the development of an enlightened, socially conscious, knowledgeable, and skilled nation that can find and implement robust solutions to its own problems. Nice statement. No dispute over that. Higher education must form the basis for knowledge creation and innovation, thereby contributing to a growing national economy. The purpose of quality higher education is therefore more than the creation of greater opportunities for individual employment. So it is just not an opportunity for individual employment, but there are still higher goals. It represents the key to more vibrant, socially engaged, cooperative communities and a happier, cohesive, cultured, productive, innovative, progressive, and prosperous nation. All nice things. Now, moving further, NEP 10.2 says moving to large multidisciplinary universities and HEI clusters, higher education institution clusters, is the highest recommendation of this policy regarding structure of higher education. This I already mentioned. Either you have a large multidisciplinary universities where we have both private and public. If it doesn't happen that way, you must create HEI clusters. And they don't want, government doesn't want, non-autonomous affiliated colleges. But to achieve that is going to be tall order. Now, we come to a little more specifics here. NEP 11.3, a holistic and multidisciplinary education would aim to develop all capacities of human being, intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral in an integrated manner. Okay, so your goal cannot be understanding a few subjects, and everything cannot be just discipline or subject oriented, but you have to create a holistic and multidisciplinary individual. How do you do that? That's what we are going to look at. What kind of solutions? Of course, there is no unique solution. There is no only one way of doing things. But once you accept that the graduate should be holistic and should be able to work in a multidisciplinary environment, you can produce a solution. Once you believe in that, such an education will help develop well-rounded individuals that possess critical 21st century capacities in fields across arts, humanities, languages, sciences, social sciences, and professional, technical, and vocational fields. An ethic of social engagement, soft skills such as communication, discussion, and debate, and rigorous specialization in a chosen field or fields. So, in some sense, they put the broader outlines, whereas in the case of engineering, we do have a little more defined one. But in the case of degree programs, you have to spend a little more time to achieve this. Such holistic education shall be, in the long term, the approach of all undergraduate programs, including those in professional, technical, and vocational disciplines. That's what we will try to uh, achieve and try to provide a solution to to provide that holistic education. I highlighted the features here: holistic and multidisciplinary. These are the two important features of NEP 2020. And then 11.5, imaginative and flexible curricular structures will enable creative combinations of disciplines for study and would offer multiple entry, multiple exit points, thus removing currently prevalent rigid boundaries and creating new possibilities for lifelong learning. Graduate level, master's, and doctoral education in large multidisciplinary universities, while providing rigorous research based specialization, would also provide opportunities for multidisciplinary work, including academia, government, and industry. So, here the two key features are flexible curricular structures. That means adequate freedom should be given at the level of undergraduate program for a student to choose. Not unlimited choice, but at least adequate choice so that he can specialize the way he wants. And another feature is multiple entry, multiple exit. What happens in a 4-year program, if some student for some reason has to leave, let us say after first year or second year, he gets nothing. There is no certificate or anything that would be given. Now the programs are designed only to achieve the goals at the end of the program, not at the first year and second year level. So multiple entry, multiple exit means if for some reason in a 4-year program, if the student leaves after the first year, he should be able to have certain skills, certain knowledge that gets him some employment. He should be given some kind of a certificate at least. 1 year of undergraduate education he has gone through and he gets a certificate. Like that, after every year, even somebody exits, he must have some kind of a qualification, knowledge and skill set. This has been taken seriously. There are mechanisms were already defined at national level. How do you try to address this multiple entry, multiple exit? Then we look at 11.6. Large multidisciplinary universities and colleges will facilitate the move towards high quality, holistic and multidisciplinary education. If you look at even some of the private universities that exist, a private university has several schools. It can be in law, it can be in medicine, it can be in management, it can be in engineering, it can be in sciences, it can be in arts, and so on. So once you have the infrastructure, or at least all the systems there, then you can design different types of multidisciplinary programs. Flexibility in curriculum and novel and engaging courses options will be on offer to students in addition to rigorous specialization in a subject or subjects. This will be encouraged by increased faculty and institutional autonomy in setting curricula. Pedagogy will have an increased emphasis on communication, discussion, debate, research, and opportunities for cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary thinking. You require a particular type of pedagogy for that kind of multidisciplinary activity. We will take a look at in course design. Some of these issues are also addressed in the associated courses with this in terms of instruction for good learning. Then 11.8, towards the attainment of holistic and multidisciplinary education, The flexible and innovative curricula of all HEIs shall include credit-based courses and projects in the areas of community engagement and service, environmental education, value-based education. So first of all higher education programs should be credit-based and there should be projects. And also what can happen is in so-called community engagement and service, there are courses that have been experimented already. They are called service learning courses where the students do get engagement with the community, some community. Okay? It is possible to do so. In India, already some colleges have done that. So, and people have gained experience in that. It can be done. As a part of holistic education, students at all HEIs will be provided with opportunities for internships with local industry, businesses, artists, crafts persons, etc., as well as research in internships with faculty and researchers at their own or other higher HEI research institutions so that students may actively engage with the practical side of their learning and as a byproduct further improve their employability. This has started happening slowly, at least in the case of engineering education, but they expect this kind of internships also to take place at the degree college level as well. People have been attempting that, it is possible to do so. But in a place like India, it requires lot more effort. The undergraduate degree will be either of 3 or 4 year duration with multiple exit options within this period with appropriate certifications. A certificate after completing 1 year in a discipline or a field including vocational and professional areas, or a diploma after 2 years of study, or a bachelor's degree after 3-year program. As you know, in India, we have all degrees are 3-year degrees other than professional degrees. And when government tried to convert degree programs into 4-year programs, they ran into a lot of difficulties. But now they say both 3-year and 4-year are possible and with options available to students. Because if you have a 3-year undergraduate degree, you can't move out of the country to other places. Because throughout the world, undergraduate program of any kind, whether you talk of English literature or history or physics or chemistry, anything like that, they're all 4-year durations. The 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor program, however, shall be preferred option since it allows the opportunity to experience full range of holistic and multidisciplinary education in addition to a focus on chosen major and minors as per the choices of the students. As a 4-year program is always a desirable one rather than a 3-year program. So here, as a compromise, the 4-year program may also lead to a degree with research if the student completes a rigorous research project in their major area of study as specified by the HEI. That is, you join a program, after 3 years you can get a degree, but if you do 1 more year of a research project, then you get a 4-year degree. Okay, that is what is offered. Then coming to master's programs, HEIs will have flexibility to offer different designs of master's programs. There may be a 2-year program with the second year devoted entirely to research for those who have completed a 3-year bachelor degree program. For students completing 4-year bachelor degree program with research, there could be 1-year master's program. There may be an integrated 5-year bachelor's master's program. Undertaking a PhD shall require either a master's degree or 4-year bachelor's degree with research, and the MPhil program will be discontinued. I think it is already discontinued, but it was there prior to 2020. MPhil program is discontinued. 12.1 Curriculum Pedagogy, continuous assessment, and student support are the cornerstone for quality learning. We don't have to elaborate that. Along with providing suitable resources and infrastructure, such, such as quality libraries, classrooms, labs, technologies, sports and recreation areas, student discussion spaces, and dining areas, several initiatives will be required to ensure that learning environments are engaging and supportive and enable all students to succeed. This is a kind of thing that is a continuous process. It cannot happen by just putting only resources and just say from day one all these will be possible. Most of the institutions across the world take several decades for them to reach a certain satisfactory level. The most important factor in the success of higher education institution is the quality and engagement of its faculty. No doubts about that. The various factors that lie behind low faculty motivation levels must be addressed to ensure that each faculty member is happy, enthusiastic, engaged, and motivated towards advancing her or his students' institution and profession. And if you ask any of you, we will give a long list of things with which you are unhappy. So those are the issues that need to be addressed by the management, and one by one slowly will have to be corrected. First thing is, teaching duties also will not be excessive. The student teacher ratios not too high, so that the activity of teaching remains pleasant and there is adequate time for interaction with students, conducting research and other university activities. For example, IITs and NITs are good examples. The other extreme example is Indian Institute of Science, where the teaching load is lot less compared to the research requirement. Faculty will be appointed to individual institutions and generally not be transferable across institutions, so that they may feel truly invested in, connected to, and committed to their institution and autonomy. This is unfortunately still some of the states in India. State government colleges, they have I won't say rule, a kind of practice where this faculty keep getting transferred from one college to the other. Then if every 2 or 3 years if a faculty member gets transferred, where does he feel that he belongs to an institution? It is not just an office where you push some papers. A teaching profession is not like that. At least government now doesn't want faculty to be transferable from one institution to another. Okay, policy is at least made. Making quality higher education opportunities available to all individuals must be among the highest priorities. This policy envisions ensuring equitable access to quality education to all students, with special emphasis on socially and economically disadvantaged groups, SEDGs. Now in this 14.4.1 are steps to be taken by the governments. 14.4.2, they classified 13 steps to be taken by the higher education institutions. So please spend some time in understanding the NEP document. So once again, meeting the goals of NEP higher education. NEP goals can only be met if we recognize all institutions are not the same. Each institution will have to find its own solution. While goals are the same for all, you travel towards that particular goal, but along that, you just cannot emulate another institution directly. First thing is, all students are not the same. Okay? All faculty are not the same. All instructional situations are not the same. One approach does not fit at all. Does not fit all institutions. So if you recognize this, the faculty together will have to spend time in producing a solution that is suitable for their particular environment and build up from that. Well, NEP proposes creation of a single accreditation agency. The accreditation process are not likely to change significantly from the current process. As of now, OBE and NBA or NAC framework can be used for planning curricula because the creation of a single accreditation agency is still in the process. It has to be passed by the parliament and they have to create an agency and define what it is. So that is going to take time. But as of now, as long as you work under the framework of outcome based education and NBA and NAC, it will be acceptable. One of the things they are trying to do is to reduce unnecessary load on faculty, that they will define certain characteristics for which a college will provide all the information about students, faculty, facilities, and all that. From the same amount of thing, the different agencies, depending on what their requirements are, they will take data out of that. For each agency, you don't have to prepare a separate for data in different formats. That is what the nation will move towards. And as you know, professional programs are required to be periodically accredited by agencies like the NBA. Engineering colleges, engineering programs have to be accredited by NBA. Either they are given accreditation for 3 years or 6 years. Institutions, instead of programs, which can be universities or HEA clusters, are to be periodically accredited by the NAC. And many engineering colleges also seek NAC accreditation for institutional level. As per NBA and the NAC, a higher education program need to attain program outcomes and program specific outcomes. Those are the terms that we keep using subsequently as well. Okay, so we have seen some aspects of NEP 2020. Now we will, in the next unit, we will look at some more features of NEP 2020. And thank you for your attention.